If you are a Cowboys and Dak Prescott hater, then stay tuned because this is the exact type of video for you. Today, we will be diving deep into the worst games in Dak Prescott's career and unveiling a scary tendency as to why he performs badly. But first, some basics as to the criteria of these games. The main stat I'm using is passer rating because while it's not an end-all be-all stat, it's a good measure for giving a player's performance for a game a quote grade. Other important stats are completion percentage, interceptions, yards, and touchdowns, and all the normal passing stats. I will also take into consideration situations for the game such as injuries, weather, and such, and of course, playoffs are valued more than regular season performances. And yes, I have to box score watch these. I don't have enough time in my life to go and watch all of Prescott's poor performances and give each of them my own opinion, so this is the best I have right now. But something I am doing this time is including games from Prescott's rookie year. Now, this isn't something I typically do unless the player played really well his rookie season, which Prescott did. This is evidenced by not only his stats, but also by winning Offensive Rookie of the Year and also finishing in the top 6 of the MVP race. And yeah, I know, it was only one vote, but I mean, more than Russell Wilson has in his career. Starting off, number 5 is Week 11 of the 2021 season against the Chiefs. This game was a real test for Prescott and the Cowboys, as well as the Kansas City Chiefs defense. For the Cowboys, it was the third legit team they faced that season. Dallas had both struggled and done really well against really good teams earlier that season, both losing to the Bucs but also defeating the Patriots. Unfortunately for the Cowboys, this is when the Chiefs defense was in the middle of turning things around. To start the season, KC's defense was horrible. They allowed over 30 points in their first 5 of 6 games. The defense started to play better, but was against either really bad offenses or offenses that were missing a key player. So this was a real test for Kansas City to see if they could shut down the eventual #1 offense in the league. And spoiler alert, KC's defense ended up outperforming Dallas's offense. Kansas City did a fantastic job at shutting down the Cowboys' run game. This meant that they had to rely on the passing game, and that didn't really play well either. KC was covering their receivers well, they were getting pressure, and they were just all around making it a tough time for Dak to play well. Prescott would finish the day with hardly over 200 yards, no touchdowns, a pair of interceptions, and a passer rating of 57.9. The only impressive thing about Prescott this game was his completion percentage was above 65% while also throwing the ball 48 times, but in the end it didn't really matter since the offense failed to score a touchdown. Which sucks for the Cowboys since their defense only allowed 19 points that game. Had they played better, Dallas had a huge opportunity to win that game and get another signature win on the season. Now, to be fair, Dallas did not have Amari Cooper this game, but still, throwing the ball to a receiver core of CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Cedric Wilson is not an excuse for performing poorly. Number 4 is Week 3 against the Seahawks in 2018. In a season where Dallas would go on to not only win the NFC East, but also a playoff game against these very Seahawks, they would suffer this embarrassing loss in the process. Now, you could argue that Prescott's subpar performance came from him not having a true #1 receiver at the time. Dez Bryant was off the team at this point, and they had not yet traded for Cooper. But elite quarterbacks are supposed to still be able to play well even without a true #1 receiver. That's what makes them elite. Well, Prescott wasn't able to live up to that on this day. The remnants of the Legion of Boom were able to lock him down for this game. Prescott did have a touchdown, which was a little Mickey Mouse-ish, but only had 55% of his passes completed, as well as not even breaking 200 yards, twice throwing interceptions, and finishing with a passer rating of 54.5. Not a very good look for him. And once again, pressure was huge for Prescott this game. The running game was performing really well on that day, but to win the game, Dallas had to throw the ball, which they were not able to do effectively. Number 3 is Week 14 against the Giants in 2016. During Prescott's rookie season, the only kryptonite for him was the New York Giants. In the 2 legitimate losses the Cowboys had on the season, both of them came against the G-Men. And this was the second time the two teams had faced off. They were supposed to learn from their past mistakes and build upon that to beat them this time, but Dallas couldn't do that. Prescott struggled hard against New York. It started well after he found a wide open Terrence Williams for a touchdown in the first, but went downhill from there, twice having his passes intercepted, had a career low 45.8 completion percentage, and a measly passer rating of 45.4. And what sucked for Dallas is that this was an incredibly winnable game. Prescott and the Cowboys had a 7-point lead for the majority of the game. Now you might think, the defense blew it, but they really didn't. New York only scored 10 points this game. This L was on the offense and the struggles of Dak Prescott. Number 2 is another Seahawks game, but this time week 16 of the 2017 season. This was two 8-6 teams battling so they could keep their seasons alive and go to the playoffs. And while neither of them ended up qualifying, the Cowboys were eliminated first after losing this game. Prescott all around looked pretty frantic this game. Once again, defensive pressure is a thing. He was sacked 4 times. But there are a lot of quarterbacks who play really well despite the pass rush bearing down on them. Guys like Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, all of them play really well even when their offensive line is performing poorly. Prescott choked away the playoff chances in this game by having a little over 180 yards with 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, one of which was taken to the house. He also had a passer rating of 51.2. And sure, you could argue one of his picks was Dez's fault, but Bryant wouldn't have let go of the ball had the pass been more on him and not behind him. A classic Cowboy way to not make the playoffs this game was. And this game is actually ranked higher due to that fact. The Cowboys needed to win this game for their playoff hopes to remain afloat and were not able to. So that factor boosts this game up for me, but Prescott's performance in the top game is so horrible, it had to be number 1. The worst game in Dak Prescott's career is Week 11 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Sure, it might be a little cheeky putting a loss against the eventual Super Bowl champions on here, but this was just an awful performance from Prescott. Now, to be fair, he did not have the assistance of Ezekiel Elliott in this game as he was serving a suspension, but Alfred Morris didn't perform too shabby in his place. This game was only one of 2 in his entire career where he threw 3 picks and only one where he didn't have a touchdown to accompany it. But Philly's defense was on fire this game as they had been all year. They were getting pressure on Prescott, they were locking down receivers, and they forced them to throw horrible interceptions. All of this added up to the worst passer rating in Dak's career by a long shot, finishing with an awful 30.4. Truly the worst game in Prescott's career. Now, if you remember earlier in the video, I mentioned that there's a common denominator to all these games, and that's Dak going up against elite defenses. Now, this may change your opinion because you could say that since the defenses were so good, then it's wrong to blame Prescott for playing so bad. Like, dude, that excuse is only for like mid QBs. Prescott is supposed to be an elite quarterback, and the Cowboys expect him to be able to step up against these top defenses and play well. Now, it's not every time Prescott plays a good defense that he does bad, but more often than not, if he plays well, then it's most likely against a team with a bad defense, and if he plays bad, then it's most likely against a team with a good defense. That's it for today's video. Make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button. It goes a long way towards supporting me and this channel, and I appreciate every single one of you guys. Also, make sure you check out all my other social media links listed down in the description below. I have an Instagram, a TikTok, and a Twitter. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.